commencé sa collaboration avec la photographe Henrietta Attali à peu près il y a un an. On s'est rencontrés grâce à son travail sur l'île de Delos. On pensait commencer à Paris et peut-être à l'UNESCO en présentant ce travail. Mais les Jeux Olympiques nous ont changé complètement notre agenda et nous sommes très heureux aujourd'hui de présenter cette manifestation précédée par le vernissage de l'exposition sur les sites olympiques. Henrietta est partie en Grèce il y a 2 mois avec sa lourde caméra, car elle ne travaille pas avec du matériel digital. Elle est allée à Olympie, puis à Athènes, au stade des premiers Jeux olympiques modernes, pour amener des photos à Paris, le nouveau lieu des Jeux olympiques. Certaines de ces photos ont été déjà exposées à Vincennes. Une autre série est exposée pendant une semaine à l'UNESCO, puis d'autres photos seront visibles à Paris pendant toute la durée des Jeux. Nous sommes très heureux d'être aujourd'hui à l'UNESCO et je remercie la délégation grecque ainsi que la délégation française pour leur accueil. Merci beaucoup.
Ladies and gentlemen, the permanent delegation of Greece to UNESCO welcomes today the photographic exhibition of Mrs. Henrietta Attali, a photographer whose work has won international recognition. Today, and in view of the Olympic Games in Paris, she is exhibiting here at UNESCO, the international organization identified with culture and art, a series of excellent photographs inspired by the Olympic ideals. With her photographs, Attali has the unique ability to give life and voice to the places and spaces she captures with her camera. The landscapes of Henrietta Attali are a challenge to our thinking and imagination. Before long, as you stand in front of her photos, you can be transported with the help of imagination and see the athletes in their greatest moments, in their greatest effort. You will hear the cheers of the spectators, but also the silence of anticipation and anxiety before a jump, before a javelin throw. At the same time, the photographs she exhibits invite us to a journey of 3,000 years, from ancient Olympia to the Panathenaic Stadium of the first modern Olympic Games in Athens. Attali invites us, guides us to places of sports and places of ideals. My warmest congratulations to Henrietta and a big thank to Hellenic Cultural Center and Katerina Xyla for the excellent cooperation in making this exhibition a reality. I also want to thank the Metropolitan General Group for their enthusiasm with which they supported this effort.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure to be among you tonight at the headquarters of UNESCO, attending the opening of this great exhibition. I would like to congratulate the Permanent Mission of Greece to UNESCO and the Centre Culturel Hellenique for hosting this event and for housing a sample of Henrietta Attali's outstanding work. Henrietta Attali managed to capture the unique combination of athleticism and landscape. Places like Athens Kalimarmaro and ancient Olympia were sport venues and also places where ideals like personal effort, sportsmanship, fairness, and equity were reflected. The talented look of the photographer leads us to experience the essence of those sites in their entirety, offering us a fine example of contemporary art. So I urge you to make the most out of this great exhibition and ponder on the timeless impact of the Olympic ideals. Thank you very much.
I've been a photographer of architecture, contemporary and of monuments for the last 35 years. Even though I studied conservation of antiquities and archaeological objects, I pretty soon realized, since I was 20 years old, that my passion is in archaeology and the photography of archaeological sites. After photographing for 12 years for the Greek Ministry of Culture, photographing antiquities across Greece, the Mediterranean, the Aegean, and in other countries in Europe, and for the United States as well. I decided to move to New York, where I studied at Columbia University, and then I traveled across the world photographing contemporary architecture. But in September 2022, I decided to commit myself in photographing the ancient island of Delos, and thus the way with which I came across with Mrs. Katerina Xyla. And this journey of Delos also engaged me with ancient Olympia and the Kalimarmaro, where I used to be a professional athlete, training day and night at the Kalimarmaro. So I know the site very, very well, and I was very happy to accomplish this very special mission, which I'm sharing here with you. Thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy. Just to explain a bit the process of how I photograph antiquities and archaeological landscape. So very important aspect during the photography is to engage the context. So how to engage the context is how to reveal also the city of Athens. Even though it's a very busy city in terms of a concrete jungle, I would say, but it has its charm, especially when it's blending with antiquities, but also important monumental buildings, as in the case of Kalimarmaro. So I visited a few times the stadium and tried. These are just this is a mini version of the whole effort and the work I've made between February and March, and still I will do some more work because we are having several events throughout Paris and elsewhere, and also abroad. So in the case of ancient Olympia, I chose a season, even though spring is more charming, is more like beautiful, iconic, etc. But I preferred winter time so that we see more of the ancient landscape, because when the trees are in full blooming, quite a lot of part of the site is covered with the green, which is beautiful when you walk there, but not when it comes to photograph it. And the idea also, in addition, that I've made is to photograph this incredible light in that region of Greece, looking towards the west. And yes, so if you have any questions.
What kind of material do you use?
So, very good question, because I take my method for granted. So I'm not using a digital camera, but 4 by 5 inches, as I would say in the United States if I was, but in Europe it's 10 by 12 centimeters with the use of film. I photograph with film, and then I send the films to Italy, where all these films are processed, etc., etc. So, and then I print quite big. Usually my exhibitions are around 2 meters by 1, and it's a very heavy equipment.
What camera?
So I use Linhof.
Okay.
I have 2 Linhof cameras, so it's quite a bulky process. And
about film?
I use Kodak.
Kodak.
I use Hectare, actually, the negative, color negative, and black and white, either T-Max or Ilford, because nowadays we don't have the same spectrum of choices. But I buy my films from New York City or from Paris. It's quite an effort, to be honest, but I'm used to it.
In Paris you can find.
Yeah, no, of course, but it's more expensive. Yes.
Thank you
So
very much.
if you need quantity, then it matters.
So once again, congratulations for
Thank you
this
so much.
excellent work.
Thank you. Thank you.